Top of the morning to you, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode number 4. 4 episodes, can you believe it? Getting started with Bitcoin, a beginner's guide. Today's episode, we're going to be moving our Bitcoin off of Shakepay and into our Muun wallet. So we're going to be taking self-custody of the Bitcoin. We're taking it off of the exchanges and putting it into our own private wallet. In the first 3 episodes, we learned what Bitcoin is, why it's so valuable, and how to buy Bitcoin using a centralized exchange like Shakepay and a decentralized exchange like Bisq. But regardless of where that Bitcoin came from, we're getting it off of that exchange and into our own private wallet. So what is a private wallet? It's basically a software application that can be on your phone, it can be on your laptop, your desktop, or it can be a totally separate device like a Trezor, Ledger, Cold Card. But it allows you to transact on the Bitcoin network. It allows you to spend your Bitcoin and receive Bitcoin. If you have the private key to unlock that private wallet, it allows you to spend, send, and receive Bitcoin. And this is by far the most important part of this entire process, in my opinion. So we're going to take things really slow. We're not going to rush through anything. Originally, I had this Muun wallet, the Sparrow desktop, and all the cold storage options into one episode, but I decided to break it up because the majority of people watching this episode, a Muun wallet will be more than enough. For 95% of people, the Muun wallet is just fine. So that's what we're going to be focusing on here. And it's important to think about this differently because you don't want to wake up in 2 or 3 years from now, look at the price of Bitcoin and have to scramble to try to figure out how to access that Bitcoin. We've seen it time and time again in the past, and we're probably going to see it into the future as well. But we're going to make sure that we have the foundation, the processes in place so that doesn't happen to you. Because even though it is only $100, $200, whatever amount of Bitcoin you have right now, we have no idea what that's going to be worth in 5 or 10 or 20 years from now. So instead of thinking of it as $100, $200, I want you to think of it as $500,000, $1 million. Take this seriously and make sure we do things right. Make sure that everything that we have in place right now, we know like the back of our hand. And when that time comes, if we do decide to just buy some Bitcoin, stash it away, we at least know how to access it, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm also going to be editing this video as well. The last episode, I think it worked really well with breaking it up. That's the that's the feedback I got from the 5 people who watched episode 3 anyways. But I get it. I mean, the majority of people watching this episode probably already have Bitcoin or watching this channel already have Bitcoin. It will be a good resource, I think, for people who are yet to come, who are just getting into Bitcoin. So it'll be there for them. And I also want you to consider going back to episode 3. If you skipped over it, go back and watch the second half of that episode because it has some information on buying Bitcoin using Bisq, which is a decentralized exchange, allows you to get some non-KYC Bitcoin. And I talked about the importance of that, why it's important to have some Bitcoin that's not connected to you. And I also talked about a good resource called Caleb and Brown, which is an over-the-counter exchange. You can either use them for the larger purchases, or you can sign up for free for an account today, get hooked up with an advisor there, and you can just kind of keep them in your back pocket, even if you don't intend on buying anything right away. When you go to log into Shakepay and it's down, or you go to log into Binance and they're down for maintenance, you're always going to have a real human being at Caleb and Brown that you can call and say, I want to buy some Bitcoin or I want to sell some Bitcoin. And they'll be there to facilitate that. It's always good to have some sort of actual human being that you can talk to. And I think as we go along here, that's going to become more and more important. So we're going to get everything set up now while the market's kind of down. It's the best time to be doing stuff like this. So that's it. We're talking about Muun today. We're going to get our Bitcoin off of the exchanges, which is the most important part of this entire process. So pour yourself a little bit of coffee, maybe add a bit of Bailey's. And we're going to talk about some prerequisites, and then we're going to get into things here. So we'll be back in just 1 second. All right, to get things going here, we're going to need 3 things. Number 1, some Bitcoin. Obviously, to move Bitcoin, we're going to need some Bitcoin. If you don't have any, go back to episode 3, walk you through the entire thing using Shakepay. But I'm going to assume at this point that you do have some Bitcoin. So number 2 is going to be a mobile phone, mobile device, whatever the heck it's called, a phone. And we're going to be downloading the Muun wallet on there. If you watched episode 3, then you're going to be ahead of the curve here, because in that episode, we downloaded Muun, we set up our private key, and I actually sent some people some free Bitcoin for going through that process, for participating in that process. And so if you want to check that out, it's on episode 3, but we're going to be doing that in just one sec. And the third thing you're going to need is a pen and paper. Anytime we write down our PIN code, our private keys, anything like that, it is always going to be on paper, pen and paper. Never going to be on our phone, never going to be on our laptop, a Word document, a password keeper in our phone, always going to be offline, pen and paper. And if you want to take things to the next level, I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on in this episode, but there's a thing called a seed plate, which is a steel plate that you can write down your private key onto, just to make sure. This is for larger balances, obviously, to make sure that if something ever happens to your house, like a fire, you know that your steel plate is going to be there and you're going to be able to restore your wallet and get access to your Bitcoin. So it's further down the road. You obviously don't need that right now, but it is something to consider into the future. But with that, we're going to get things going here. We're going to start by downloading the Muun wallet. All you need to do here is go to your local app store on your Apple or your Android. Search for Muun, M-U-U-N, wallet. It's going to look like that. It's a little M-U-U-N wallet. Go ahead and download that. And we will meet you back here in one sec. Okay, so hopefully at this point you have downloaded the Muun wallet. And we're going to be getting to that in just a sec. We're going to be writing down our PIN code. We're going to be writing down our private key. And we're actually going to be receiving some Bitcoin into this Muun wallet. And like I said, for 95% of the people watching this video, the Muun wallet is going to be more than enough security for you. If you have $100, if you have $200 worth of Bitcoin, the Muun wallet is perfect for you. It's very secure, very easy to use. And the majority of people that actually lose their Bitcoin, it's not because they get hacked, which is kind of the common narrative around Bitcoin, but it's usually one of 3 reasons. The first one is that they overcomplicate their security process. They write it down, they store it in a place where only they can find it, and then they go back in a year or 2 and they have no idea where they put it, so their Bitcoin's gone. Or they're too careless with it and they put it on a piece of paper. That piece of paper gets tossed around the office, it ends up in the garbage. 1 or 2 years from now, they can't access their Bitcoin. And the third thing is people get too careless with their Bitcoin and leave it on one of the exchanges. They don't know how to move it off of there. And the exchange goes belly up, like we've seen time and time again, never fails. So that's what we're doing in this episode, is we're going to try to prevent all that. We want to keep things as simple as possible here. And with that, I'm going to kind of explain what the private key means in a simple way. It's basically the password to your wallet. And I like to think about this as you have 2 debit cards. So in the current system that we use, we have debit cards, we have credit cards. This one is your first debit card. You can spend Bitcoin, you can receive into the bank. And your other one is going to be your private key, which we write down. That's your second debit card, your backup. And if you happen to lose this, you can restore your backup into a different device and you're good to go. And in the current system we have, if you happen to lose this and your private key, you can just go into the bank and pay $15, $20. You can get a brand new debit card and you're on your way. But the problem here is that there's no bank to fall back on. Nobody's going to be there to help you. There's no CEO of Bitcoin. There's no customer service for Bitcoin. You're on your own. So you want to make sure that if something happens to this, you have a backup in place. And that's what we're going to be writing down. We're going to be doing it in a old-fashioned sense with pen and paper. It's not going to be on anything digital, because you also have to realize that if somebody were to get access to that private key, they can do whatever you can do with your wallet, which is the first thing they're going to do is send Bitcoin into their own wallet. So not only do you have to make sure that your private key is in a place where you know where it is, you want to make sure that no other eyes ever see that private key. So that's important. And I hope that sinks in. We're going to be going into the wallet right now. And kind of the point of me going through that is just to make sure that you take this seriously, because as I said, we have no idea, even if it is $100 today, we have no idea what it's going to be worth in 10 years from now. So you want to have this process rock solid. So go ahead, open up the Muun wallet. On the main screen here, you're going to see two options. You're going to see recover existing wallet and create a new wallet. So remember when I just said this is your first debit card and your private key is your second one? If you ever lost your phone or your first primary debit card, you would use your password, your private key, to restore into a new device. And that's where you would use recover existing wallet. But in this case, we're going to be using create a new wallet. So you can go ahead and click that. And it's going to make you create your own PIN code. So I would obviously recommend not using the same PIN you use if you have a PIN for your phone, but make it something that you can remember. And obviously the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to write this down. So I got my PIN code. I'm going to be writing it down. And before we go any further, remember when I said that you don't want to have this in a piece of paper in your office that gets mixed in and put into the recycling bin in 6 months from now? I actually have a nice piece of paper here that I'm going to be using to do this. And the reason for this is because if I see this, I'm not just going to throw it into a random pile. I'm going to think, oh yes, I know what this is. I'm going to either put this in a safe place, or if I see it, I'm not going to throw it out. So I would encourage you to put your private key onto something that isn't just like a piece of loose leaf or a notebook or a scrap piece of paper. Put it on something that is meaningful to you. If you don't want to buy one of the steel plates yet, this is the second best option for that. So we got the PIN code created. It says you created a new wallet. Welcome to Muun. Let's go. So on the main screen here, all zeros. You got 0 Bitcoin, 0 Canadian dollars. You have the option of receiving and sending. In this case, we're going to be using the receive button, but we're going to put that off for just 1 sec. And it also says backup your wallet. So you can create a backup to never lose access to your wallet, which is what we were just talking about. So that's going to be your backup debit card, your backup. So at the bottom, it says wallet, security, and settings. So you can either click that backup your wallet, or you can click the security at the bottom and it'll take you to the same spot. And at the security center, you're going to see 3 options. The first one is backup to your wallet. So it's creating a recovery method in case you change your phone or reinstall Muun. So I believe you have to put in an email address for that one. And the beauty of Muun is that they actually don't ask for any of your information. You don't have to enter your name, your email address, your phone number. So I like to skip that one. I don't like associating myself with the app using an email. And to do that, you actually have to click number 1, and then you have to choose, I don't want to use my email. So click that. If you do want to use email, if you want to have some extra backup, you're not as paranoid as me, you can go ahead and set that up as well. But I'm going to say, I'm sure. And then it's going to give me number 2 option, which is create an alternative backup. Backup your wallet. Write down a code on paper to recover your wallet if you change your phone or lose your phone or reinstall Muun. So you can start, and it's going to show you 8 words or letters and numbers combined. And we're going to write this down. So I'm going to write this on my piece of paper, and I'll be back in just 1 sec. Okay, I have my private key written down here. There she is. And I'm going to talk about a few different things now, some tips. So the first one, that is horrible security process, showing anybody else your private key. Under no circumstances should you ever give your private key to anybody else. If you want to store this in a secondary location, like your siblings or a girlfriend, boyfriend, parents' house, make sure that they have it in a very safe place, because if anybody ever comes across this, as I said, they're going to be able to move Bitcoin out of that wallet and all your Bitcoin's gone. So never ever show that your private key or give your private key, whether that's online like in Telegram or some sort of support chat. They will never ever need your private key to help you out. And if they do, they're trying to scam you. Second thing I would say here is that there have been people who went through this entire process, bought Bitcoin, wrote it down properly, had to back up their phone because they lost it, and they couldn't read their own writing. Or somebody passed away and somebody found their private keys and they're trying to restore the phone and they couldn't read their writing. So make sure that it's crystal clear. Even if you can read it, that doesn't mean somebody else can. And if you're fine with nobody else getting your Bitcoin, that's cool too. I mean, the point here is that you pass on your wealth, and that's why we're doing stuff like this. But some people want to. Bitcoin is something that you can actually take to the grave with you, which is weird to say. But it's the only asset, I think, that you can do that. If you happen to memorize your private key or it's lost, those Bitcoin are gone forever. So that is the private key. We're going to click continue. And it's going to make you confirm it. So I'm not going to make you wait here. I'll be back in just 1 sec. Successful. So I got through that tough quiz, having to read my own writing back. But now it says 2 things you must understand. I understand I will need my recovery code if I forget my password. And I understand Muun doesn't keep a copy of my recovery code and it can't be changed. So you can click those and click finish. Success. You backed up your wallet and can now recover it using your recovery code. So just one more time to reiterate this, if you ever lost your phone that you had your Muun wallet on, or somebody steals it, whatever the case is, you can go onto a new phone, a new mobile device, download Muun, and from the first screen, click Recover Existing Wallet, and that's where you would enter that code in there. So make sure that you have a good process on this. Make sure that you know everything like the back of your hand, because usually when something happens, it's going to be in an emergency situation and you're not going to be able to think very clearly. So you want to make sure that you have this, you can think about it easily and restore it easily. You can figure out where everything is and gain access to your Bitcoin to protect it. And I'm going to go ahead and skip number 3 as well. That's create an emergency kit. And so we're basically done getting set up here. We have the PIN code. We have the private key. Our backup is in place. We have it on a good piece of paper that's not going to get lost in the office or tossed into the garbage. And we can now move our Bitcoin off of Shakepay and into our Muun wallet. So we're going to do that right now. All right, the hard part is over. We have our PIN code written down. We have our private key written down on a nice piece of paper, safe and secure in our house. We know exactly where it is. And now we're going to be sending Bitcoin from Shakepay into our new Muun wallet. So to do that, we're going to click wallet at the bottom, back to the main screen, and you're going to see 2 options, receive and send. So if somebody wants to send you Bitcoin, you're going to click receive, and that's what you're going to provide them with, the information in there. If you want to send Bitcoin, you're obviously going to use the send button to send Bitcoin out of this wallet. In this case, we're going to be receiving Bitcoin into our Muun wallet. So we're going to click receive. And from there, you're going to see a QR code and you're going to see your Bitcoin address there, your public address at the bottom. So if somebody wants to send you Bitcoin, this is what you're going to provide them with. You're either going to send them a picture of your QR code for them to scan, or you copy and paste your Bitcoin address at the bottom there and share that with them. And so that is your receive address. That's your public address. And maybe I'll explain the difference between that and your private key and the analogy that I like to use there. So if you wanted to send me something, if you wanted to send me a Christmas card or a check for $1,000, I would provide you with my mailing address, and that's how you would send it to me. Similarly, if you wanted to send me Bitcoin, I would provide you with my public address, and that's how you would send stuff to me. On the flip side, we have our private key, which I like to think about as like the key to your house, the front door, or the key to your safe. So if you ask me for my address to send a Christmas card, I'm not gonna give you a key to my house or a key to the safe. I'm just gonna give you access to sending me something. I'm not gonna give you access to my Bitcoin or my safe, anything in my safe in my house. I think that's a good way to look at it, because it's okay to send somebody your public address. All they can do is send Bitcoin to that. They can't do anything else within it. They need your private key to be able to do that. However, if somebody does have your public address, they do have the ability to look at your Bitcoin balance, your wallet balance, and all your transactions. So it is a little bit sketchy in that sense if you're kind of willy-nilly with it. But one good practice, and something that I would recommend doing, is setting up a Muun wallet like we've done, and just keep a small balance on there, whether that's $50, $60, $100. Keep that on your Muun wallet. And then also set up a Sparrow wallet on your desktop, which we're going to be setting up in episode 5, and keep the majority of your Bitcoin on there. So even if you happen to give somebody your public address, somebody knows it, they're not going to see a whole lot of stuff on there, because it's a very small balance. You keep the rest of your balance in a larger Bitcoin wallet. Just something to consider there. Hope that makes sense. And so now we're going to be sending Bitcoin out of Shakepay into our Muun wallet. Very easy to do. And so you're going to now go ahead and open up your Shakepay. And on the main screen there, you're going to see add funds and send, similar to our Muun wallet. In this case, we're going to be sending Bitcoin out of Shakepay. So you can click send, assuming you have some Bitcoin in your Shakepay wallet. And you have two options here. You can either copy and paste that address, or you can scan it. I'm going to scan the QR code because it's on a different phone here. If you're using the same phone, it's probably much easier to just copy and paste that address. Maybe I'll do that. No, we'll scan. It'll take too long to copy and paste it. So I've scanned it here, and it says, it automatically populates. It says send to BC1, and it shows my public address at the top there. Something on my phone. So it shows my public address there at the top. You just want to double check that that's the same as your Muun wallet. So I usually look at the first 3, BC1, and double check the last 3 as well. So GE2. So I'm good to go. And like I said, you could have done that either with the QR code or copy and pasting into your Shakepay. And so from there, you can either click max, which will send all your Bitcoin there, or you can customize it. I'm going to do maybe half, keep some on Shakepay just to have. And I'm going to click continue. Confirm the transaction. I'm sending 0.003 Bitcoin to my Muun wallet. Confirm. And you should get a check mark there. You sent 0.003 Bitcoin to your Muun wallet. Close. And you'll notice now that your Bitcoin balance has decreased in your Shakepay. And any minute now, we should be receiving this into our Muun wallet. And I think we're going to leave it there for today. I was going to set up the Sparrow wallet, but we're past time here, I think, and I really want to keep things simple. For the majority of people watching this episode, as I've said already, the Muun wallet is going to be more than enough. And you don't want to get too complicated with things here. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. As you continue learning about Bitcoin, as you start to accumulate some more Bitcoin and your balance starts getting up there, that's when you can consider a Trezor, a Ledger, a cold card, or your own crypto wallet. Any sort of cold storage device, which is what we're going to be talking about in episode 5. That's when you can start to explore that. But if you're just new to Bitcoin, if you're just getting your feet wet into this, it's probably a good idea to just stick to Muun. Make sure you have the process down packed. And I'm just double checking the Muun wallet here. It hasn't received yet. Usually when you're sending Bitcoin from Muun to Muun or wallet to wallet, it goes pretty fast. You can also use the Lightning Network, which we'll get into probably in episode 6 or 7 of utilizing the Lightning Network. But when you're sending Bitcoin out of Shakepay or a different exchange, it actually takes a little bit longer because they have to facilitate that on their end. They're sending it out of their wallets into your wallet. So it takes a little bit longer. It's usually, with Shakepay, it's usually 2 to half an hour, 2 minutes to 30 minutes. And if it goes past that, I would recommend reaching out to customer service. For the most part, Shakepay's customer service is excellent. I have had some issues in the last little while with Shakepay, but I think they're just really busy because whenever the Bitcoin price starts going up, that's when people start getting into Bitcoin. So I think they're seeing an influx of people coming in, but I've never had an issue sending Bitcoin out of Shakepay into a wallet. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. So we're going to leave it there for today. I hope you've been getting a ton of value out of these videos. I'm enjoying doing them. I think it's important to make sure that we're doing things right. And whether you realize it today or not, I think that putting these practices into play is going to make a huge difference years down the road. So it's important to me. I hope it's important to you. And as always, I got to throw out an ad here because I got to make some money somehow. If you get stuck anywhere in this process, or if you want to take things to the next level, if you want to get your cold storage set up right away, I do have options for that. You can set up a free 15-minute call to discuss with me how I can help you. I'm very flexible with the time and the topics. So you can set up a half-hour call, an hour call, any sort of consultation, whatever you need, I can help you with. And it makes such a huge difference to have somebody there holding your hand, walking you through it. Make sure you don't screw anything up right off the bat and leave a bad taste in your mouth going forward. Somebody who's been there before, and just to give you a little bit of peace of mind, making sure that you're doing things properly. So I'm happy to help. Scan that little QR code with your phone. It'll take you right to my calendar and we can have a chat. So that's that. We now officially have our Bitcoin off of the exchange into our own custody, into our own private wallet. And that is the best thing you can do when you're getting into Bitcoin. So congratulations. You are now officially a Bitcoiner. Now that you have the money, the Bitcoin off of the exchange into your own possession, you're officially a Bitcoiner. So that's it. Appreciate you very much. If you've been getting any sort of value out of this, make sure to share it with your friends. If you don't have any Satoshis to donate or send this way, you can at least share. You can like the video. You can subscribe. The more and more we can get this message out there, if you're a believer in Bitcoin, if you're a believer in the community and what impact it can have on the world, then it's the least that we can do is just share this and continue getting eyes on it. So appreciate you very much, and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.